Welcome to Vikings Report with Drew, Ted, and Chris. Happy New Year. I hope your 2025 is getting off on the right foot. If you'll notice, it kind of is for me. I've hung the Ohio State jersey back up. But that's neither here nor there. We're not doing a movie. We're getting right into the big, titanic, titular, whatever the big word is, matchup between the Lions and the Vikings this week. Before we do that, though, Drewster, how you doing, brother?
Oh, my goodness. Go ahead. I'm going to give you 20 seconds. Go ahead. Let's hear about it. Ohio State.
Do or die for Ohio State. Howard in trouble. Incomplete. Ohio State turns it over on downs. And the Michigan Wolverines will shock the college football world.
I wasn't sure they'd beat Tennessee. I thought if Ryan Day and Ohio State coached aggressively on both sides of the ball, they could beat Oregon, and they did. If they keep that mentality up, I think they can win it all. I think they are the most talented team left in the college football playoff. When we're recording, the Georgia and who are they playing? Notre Dame game has yet to be played because of the terrorist attack in New Orleans. We'll see.
This is the biggest Vikings regular season ending game I think ever in my life coming up for this one. We got I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to breaking this game down because we did a breakdown when they played week 5 or 6 or something.
Yep.
We did a big board. Tonight we're going to follow it up with a big board because a lot of things have changed, but this will be the 272nd game of the NFL season, Chris, and this might be the best game of the NFL season coming up. I am fired up to do this tonight, and it's not just a win or lose and you'd fall off a little bit. There's a huge gap between winning this game and what you have to do if you lose this game. So,
we'll talk about that in a little bit. Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Doing all right. Looking forward to waiting all day for Sunday night. Once again, it's going to be a long-ass Sunday, but it's going to be worth it. That's what the Red Zone channel has been bestowed upon us for a Sunday afternoon. But it's going to definitely be an exciting thing to watch, and hopefully our guys can come through the way they've come through for most of the season. But it's going to be huge, as they say.
What's a big enchilada? Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
All the marbles, big enchilada. Give me one more.
All the Tostitos.
All the Tostitos.
This is for all the Tostitos.
For all the Pop-Tarts. The Pop-Tart bowl.
We need to win this one, like my Uncle Paulie would say. Now we'll be shitting in tall cotton to win. I don't know what it ever meant, but it means something good, Ted. It means good.
Ruby, you out there? Can you say hi this evening, or you not?
Hello.
Oh, you are. Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm just nervous, trying not to get my hopes up.
Well, Happy New Year.
That's what you got me for, bringing your hopes down for the last 30 years.
Expect the worst, hope for the best, I guess.
Yes, exactly. So in honor of your Ohio State win today, I would like to tell a joke.
Okay.
Yeah! Ooh. We haven't had Toots' joke in a long time.
I'm not going to like this, I'm sure, but go ahead.
What does a Buckeye grad call a Michigan grad after 5 years?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Boss.
Bye. All right. Fair enough.
Ted's going to win the national championship, and it's going to be stuck in his craw. Michigan.
Yeah, it will. It will. It just will. It's a thing. I'm sorry. If you are a true fan of this team or that team up north and you are born into it or became a part of it, then you understand. If you're not, then you don't. You never will. I'm not even going to try to explain it to you. But anyways, be that as it may. Real quick shout out to our internet partner, Purple Pain Forums. Go ahead, check out that site, purplepainforums.com. Great group of people, great group of chat topics and categories to talk about without all the garbage you usually see on most Vikings Facebook pages. You will not see a myriad of posts about the Vikings hating J.J. McCarthy or any other stupid garbage like that. PurplePainForums.com. And for all the Vikings news that's fit to print, head on over to the Daily Norseman. That's DailyNorseman.com. Run by our one and very own The Lion Sleeps on Sunday, Christopher Gates. Started that site in 2006. His blogging life it's like a half-life, man. It's like uranium half-life or something. It never goes away.
No.
So DailyNorseman.com. Been around that place since 2006.
Good job, Christopher.
Yeah, man.
I do what I can.
I can't believe you haven't gotten burned out. That place just just right.
I can't believe I haven't gotten fired, but that's here nor there.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Last week, nobody cares about your fantasy team. I posted my 8th victory of the year, I believe it was.
Yes,
Something
8th
like that,
victory
yeah.
of the year. Pretty good.
All-time personal record for me.
Not hard to beat 2. I mean, come on.
I'm going to take what I can get this year.
No, you got your 8th victory, and it's down to Doc Proto and Dan Lee for first place.
Yeah. This is our last week if nobody cares about your fantasy team. We also have, we've got the great first and second prizes. We're also giving out a prize for third place. Head on over to our site, VikingsReport.com, to check out the entire leaderboard. You might want to check out who our teams are this week. So, Ruby, if you would post those really quick and choose wisely.
You guys doubled up on your wide receivers, same guys. It'd be interesting.
I was going to pick Ladd McConkey last week, but he was playing one of those Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday games, whatever it was.
Yeah.
All right. It is the week of arguably the biggest Vikings game in regular season history.
It is, isn't it? I mean, you have an argument about that? Is that an argument amongst us panelists here?
Maybe 2003, the Nate Poole game where it was like win the division or you're out of the playoffs. I mean, because it was win or go home.
Right.
Probably the 2012 game against Green Bay. That was win or go home. And Adrian Peterson was chasing the Eric Dickerson.
Yeah, that was a big game. The Vikings obviously have clinched a playoff spot. The Lions obviously have as well. They're both 14-2, but this still has playoff implications. Whoever wins this game as the number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs, whoever loses, they will be the first 14-win team in NFL history to be a wild card, which is an insane bit of trivia to me.
So, folks, if you're keeping score at home, that would be when Detroit finishes below the Vikings mark. They will be the first wild card team. Is that correct, Chris?
It is, and there has never been an NFL regular season game between two teams with this many wins, ever. 28 wins going in the final week of the season.
Which team is going to go Oregon Duck? Which one's going to do it?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And right now, the difference between first and fifth in the NFC seeding order is kind of big because as the 5th seed, you go on the road. And right now, the Vikings would play, or Detroit would play, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But that could change. Tampa Bay loses and Atlanta wins. The Atlanta Falcons are your NFC South champions, and they would travel, the Vikings or the Detroit Lions would travel to Atlanta to face the Falcons in the wild card round. If both the Buccaneers and the Falcons lose, the Buccaneers remain the NFC South champions. If both the Buccaneers and Falcons lose, the Buccaneers are still the NFC South champions. But if the Rams, in that scenario, if the Rams win, no, I got this screwed up, didn't I?
If Tampa Bay wins and the Rams lose, then Tampa Bay jumps the Rams to number 3 and the Rams fall to number 4, which means Detroit would then go to play the Rams on wild card weekend. Otherwise, the Rams are going to be the 3 seed.
So basically, the 5th seed is going to play the Buccaneers, the Falcons, or the Rams.
Yep.
So what you're saying, Tech Lovers, the number 1 seed is way better.
Much better.
A little bit.
Mucho grande. Bettero. Be the number 1 seed. Fluent in Spanish, as you can tell.
Lopez Neto Taneteros.
Hablo that Espanol.
So there's a lot on the line. I saw a thing that I think it was a poll taken of NFL players, and they all rated US Bank Stadium 3rd hardest stadium to play in behind Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City and Lumen Field in Seattle. So I think the home field advantage for the Vikings would be a tremendous advantage for them. So
let's get it.
Moving on to intangibles. Drew, what do you got for intangibles?
We're not doing weather this week because we don't need to. I think my intangibles are something I talked about earlier, guys. Just who is going to be the more disciplined team? Who's going to get that unsportsmanlike conduct or that stupid penalty or something? We talk about the crucial handful of plays offensively. We've been talking about it for 4 years. Ted, this week you can talk about the crucial handful of dumbass plays.
Yeah.
Who is going to make more of these little? This game is going to be nip-tuck all the way down to the end. Which team is going to not only make a mistake, but who's going to bounce back, either not letting it bother them or let it roll over them? Because this is a high-pressure game. Who's going to make that drop pass? Who's going to fumble that punt? Who's going to make just a boneheaded play? That's my intangible. It's just whose mind is going to be in it more. Who's going to be more disciplined? Who's going to be more coach ready? Who's going to have a better game plan? It's a mind. It's all mind. Intangible is a mind thing this week. That's what I got.
For me, it's Campbell's aggressiveness versus his recklessness. The Vikings defense is fourth in the NFL in third down percentage. They are first in the NFL in fourth down percentage. So if you go for it on third down, you're not going to make it very often. If you go for it on fourth down, the Vikings are the best in the NFL at stopping you. Conversely, the Lions offense is fourth, and their defense is fifth in the NFL stopping. So that's going to become, I think, one of the huge parts of this game. When and where Dan Campbell goes for it on fourth down, and if the Vikings can stop them. I think they have the capability to do it, although Ben Johnson draws up some really creative plays. He had that hook and ladder play last week to Amon-Ra St. Brown, who flipped it to Jameson Williams, who streaked down the sideline for a touchdown. I can't believe he rolled that out last week to put it on film.
Right.
The week before the Vikings game, but whatever.
What's the third time they've done it? I said the same thing I told Ruby, why would you show that now, a week before the biggest game of your life? And I looked back and they've done it 3 times, all successful, twice for touchdowns.
Jeez. The other thing you mentioned, Drew, is turnovers. Both the Vikings and the Lions are plus 10. The Vikings are plus 10 in turnover margin. The Lions are plus 11. If Sam Darnold and the Vikings offense don't turn the ball over, I really like their chances to win this game. And if in the Vikings defense, they forced a turnover in every single game so far this year, I think they're going to do it again. We've talked about the front seven. I think they're going to put pressure on Jared Goff. It's going to force a turnover. They got a couple turnovers in that first game. Ivan Pace had a fumble, scoop, and score. I believe it was Pace in the fourth quarter. And the last thing I'll say is there's no pressure on the Vikings. There's none. Nobody expected the Vikings to be here. Everybody expected Detroit to be here. And everybody expected Detroit to have this division wrapped up by Veterans Day over a month and a half ago. So the Vikings got nothing to lose, man. So those are my intangibles. Chris?
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that. I mean, there is zero pressure on the Minnesota Vikings going into this game because the Detroit Lions have heard all off season how they were the favorites in the NFC and they're the best team in the league and this and that and the other thing, and then they've gotten into the season and they've been the best team and they just haven't been able to shake the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, they haven't led the division by more than a game at any point this season because obviously, both teams have only lost 2 games. So the Vikings, like you said, they were not supposed to be here. They were supposed to be fighting for top 5 draft position by this point, and the Vikings know that. There is no pressure on this Minnesota Vikings team going into Sunday night. All of the pressure is on Detroit because if they lose, they will have had the best regular season in their franchise history probably, and they would still have found a way to finish second to the Minnesota Vikings after hearing all the hype all off season about how great they are and how they were going to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl for the first time ever and all this other stuff. The Vikings have been, like Ted said earlier, they've been playing playoff games at least since the Seattle game, if not before that, because they've had to keep pace and they've done it. I mean, they've won 9 straight games. It's one of the longest winning streaks in team history, and the pressure still isn't on them. And they know that getting that bye and getting a week off and then having to win 2 games at US Bank Stadium to get to the Super Bowl, they know how important that is. But you see it in these post-game locker room speeches. This team is all in, and they believe everything that Kevin O'Connell is pushing at this point. So, yeah, all the pressure is on Detroit, no pressure on Minnesota, and I think you're going to see that difference manifest itself during the game on Sunday night. So there you go.
All right. That's how we see it. Drew, how do you see this game playing out?
These are 2 teams that know each other well. There's not a bunch of surprises coming at you in this game. They know that Gibbs and Jefferson, and O'Connell knows how Campbell wants to coach. They know what's going on in this game. That's what's so interesting about it. The Lions have been able to bully people offensively. because they play a lot of teams that only see them once, or only seen them once all season, or don't see them at all. But they're running up against a team you can't bully offensively. You can bully the Bears because in the Niners, because in the long run, your offense is so good. By the time it gets to the fourth quarter and everybody's tired, we're going to wear you down and win the game. Not this week. They're coming up a team who is just as bad a bully on offense as they are. And the Vikings are going to be standing there going, you want to run the score up with us? Let's do it. I have no problem doing that. But look at the defense you got to face. And I'm facing your D-grade linebackers. You want to do a shootout? Not going to work for them this week. They've been tricking people. The Packers, the Bills, the 49ers, they all put up 30-plus points going down their last 4 weeks. That only lasts so long, Ted, and the time runs out this week. I said it 3 times on this show already. You can't do a game like this with smoke and mirrors when you're playing a team that's so familiar. And let's not forget, Kevin O'Connell knows that game got away from him in the second quarter. He had it going the way he wanted to that first meeting. And at the end, all he needed was a first down. O'Connell's been thinking about this for 4 months. I ran it up the middle for a 5-yard gain to Aaron Jones. Then I ran some weak-ass sweep where he had no blocking, no gain. And on 3rd and 5, I rolled Darnold out for some horrible pass that was off target to Justin Jefferson because you don't have Darnold throwing on the run. That's in his head. He remembers that. And it's going to come down this year. We're going to salt that game away. They're not getting back on the field for another field goal chance. The Vikings are coming in there with attitude. Like Chris said, there's no pressure. They're going to take it this week because the Lions can't bully them offensively. They can't bully the Vikings like they have everybody else. They're coming up a team that's going to stand there and go, we know you. They know them. They know Amon-Ra St. Brown. They know these little tendencies. They know us too, but they're depleted. They don't have the horses to keep up with us. The only thing that could beat the Vikings this week, the only thing besides the miscues we talk about, is if O'Connell decides not to be aggressive. If he decides to hold the reins back and not be aggressive and play more, I got to hold this lead because there's so much on the line. If O'Connell stays aggressive, which I think he will because he has a little bit of a different look in his eye, if he stays aggressive, the Vikings got this thing. Vikings are taking this game.
Chris?
Absolutely. I mean, I basically echo everything that Drew just said. The Vikings know that first meeting was theirs for the taking until that pass fell incomplete on 3rd down. They get that 3rd down, they salt it away. The division might already even be decided. I don't know how it would work in that scenario or not, but Kevin O'Connell has shown the ability to get his team to, and he said it in his locker room speeches before, this team is at their best when their best is what is required. It's going to require their best on Sunday night because, I mean, I think Detroit's going to get a fair number of points, but this Detroit defense is not going to do a whole lot of stopping the Vikings offense unless the Vikings offense stops itself. And they haven't been doing a lot of stopping themselves over the last few weeks. So, Dan Campbell could have rested some guys during that Niners game. He decided not to, and they went out and got 34 points dropped on them by an offense that's basically a shell of what it was supposed to be. They were playing like 3 backup offensive linemen, no Christian McCaffrey, no Brandon Ayuk. They're on like their 5th string running back or something like that, and they still got 34 points dropped on them. And if Brock Purdy hadn't thrown a couple of just brain-dead interceptions, they would have gotten 40 dropped on them. If you're going to do that against an offense that's banged up and undermanned like San Francisco, there hadn't been many offenses in the NFL over these past few weeks that have been better than Minnesota's offense has. They have the ability to go up and down the field against this Detroit defense, and I think that's what's going to happen.
I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to come down to whoever makes those 4th down conversions, whoever stays aggressive, and doesn't become reckless. There's going to be a time and place to punt the ball if it comes to that, and it's not going to be 4th and 1 from the Detroit 40. If it's 4th and 1 from your own 25, I don't know. Maybe you punt it, but Dan Campbell will go for it, and whatever. Anyways, if the Vikings don't turn this ball over, they can outscore Detroit, and they're going to win this game. That's what it's going to come down to. And with this no pressure on them, and I think all the pressure really is on Detroit. They say it's not, and it's not bothering them. I'm telling you, there's a reason Campbell played all his guys on Sunday night, and I think he got him a little bit beat up. Laporta took some hits. Goff took some hits. They're playing on a short week. This is really lining up for the Vikings. They're coming back from the West Coast. The short week to prepare. Yeah, they know each other very well. I like the Vikings in this game. I really do. I said it before when they won that third straight road game, I thought they were going to run the table and get the number 1 seed overall, and I still believe that. So, Vikings. All right. You got a milestone or trivia this week?
No, I do have a milestone. Michigan's beaten Ohio State 4 years in a row. I had my milestone for the week.
That's not a milestone. Edit that out. All right, so that'll do it for our preview. No milestone, no trivia this week. We will be back on Sunday night for a post-game show after the Vikings hopefully wrap up the number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. For Drew, for Chris, for Ruby, I'm Ted. We will see you Sunday night. Abramowitz!
I'm telling you, look at Campbell. He's on something, man. He's on it.